Okay, so we're moving on to part 2 here of learning target 2, which is fractions. Okay, so we're going to talk about the adding and subtracting part, the multiplying and dividing part, and remember, this is an advanced algebra class. Learning target number 2 says I can perform operations with rational numbers or with real numbers. We have to do these, but I think it serves as a good little review. So we just did integers. Okay, so we know when we do fractions. So let's take like 5/6, and I want to add that to 1/3. Okay? So however you chose to do it, some people I know like to kind of set it up vertically, okay? So 5/6, 1/3. The most important thing I'm hoping that you guys remember is that you can't add or subtract fractions with unlike denominators. You need to find a common denominator, and that common denominator is your LCM. Count by 6s, count by 3s. What's the smallest number you say? 6. So that doesn't change this. However, it does change the fact that this is new. So now I go back, I'm starting real simple. I look at the 1/3, which is now 2/6, and 5/6, which now I can add my numerators, keep my denominator, and then I'm going to do something kind of weird right now in 8th grade math. I'm going to leave it improper. Okay? 7th grade was a year that you had to focus on I can chain improper fractions to mixed numbers. That's awesome. That's great. Okay? You don't need. I know that you know how to do that. So better yet, this year, just leave your answers as improper, because you're going to see improper answers on a lot of your answer keys. Okay? And another good reason is, sometimes people mess up changing it to a mixed number, and then I'm kind of like, shoot, do they not know how to change the mixed number, or do they not know how to add a fraction? So just keep it improper. You do not need to change it. If you do, if you feel this need to do it, go for it. Okay? Now, we know how to do that, but let's spice this up a little bit. Let's take and make that a negative 5/6. So if I have a negative 5/6 plus a positive 1/3, then that translates over here, and it translates over here. So after you find your common denominator, you know what you're going to do? You're going to tack that negative on with it, okay? And that changes what my problem is going to be now. I can no longer add 5 and 2 because the signs are not the same. I have a negative 5 and a positive 2, so that's going to change and make this answer a negative 3/6. And even though you don't change improper to mix, you always reduce. Okay? So what if that was a negative 1/3 plus a negative 5/6? Then that just means that's that, right? And now your answer would be negative 5 plus negative 2, negative 7/6. Okay? So that kind of gives you an idea of how to go with the adding and subtracting. And here's the subtraction part of it. 2/5 minus, let's say, 5/6. Okay? So I want to take 2/5 and subtract 5/6. So the first thing you're going to do is watch what this means. And I'm not really subtracting 5/6. I'm adding a negative 5/6. So 2/5, look what I'm going to do right here. I'm going to put a plus, and I'm going to put a negative 5/6 right here. Okay? And then I find my common denominator, which is 30. Now be careful. This is so important. This is my positive one, so that's my times 6. Everybody knows what to do here, right? So that's going to give me 12. This is times 5, but what's negative 5 times 5? Negative 25. If you forget to carry that negative over, you're going to do the wrong operation. So then I'm going to look at my 12, look at my negative 25, and the signs are different. So I'm going to subtract and get negative 13/30, which cannot be reduced anymore. So that is the answer, okay? Multiplying and dividing is actually even easier. We start with, 2/3 times 4/9. You look for cross-canceling if possible, 2 and 9, 4 and 3, and if there's nothing, it literally is just as easy as it appears. And if you're lucky, let's say 3/4, 4/9, and you do get some cross-canceling, remember, okay, This is 1/3. I am really flying through this, guys, okay? But then in algebra, we're going to make them negative or positive. So the cool thing about multiplying with negative fractions is just do the fraction problem as if it were a fraction and then go back and figure out if it's positive or negative. Negative times positive is negative, okay? We can go all the way to 4 1/3 times 2 1/5. You know what to do from here, then just go ahead if it makes you more comfortable. You can go ahead and make them improper. So this is going to be 13/3 times 11/5. If there's any cross-canceling to do, go ahead and do that. If not, then you're just going to have to do 13 times 11, which is going to get ugly. 143/15. Beautiful. Don't need to put it as a mixed number. There's your answer. And if they're both negative, then your answer is positive. Okay, quickly moving through this, let's work about division. So it's kind of cool because a lot of things that happen in addition and subtraction translate over to this. Just like we don't subtract, we add the opposite. Okay? We don't divide fractions. We multiply the reciprocal. So 2/5 divided by 5/8 is not really looked at as 2/5 divided by 5/8, is looked at as 2/5 times 8/5. Okay? And I love doing it this way. I will make one of them negative because some people might look at that and think that they can cross-cancel. You know that you can't touch the problem until after you change it to a multiplication problem. So please do not cross-cancel until after. And now that it's flipped, it's the reciprocal, you can't cross-cancel an 8 and a 5. You can't cross-cancel that. So your answer is going to be negative 16/25. Got it? Okay? And then just keep your answer improper like that. So there's your fraction part of it.